John.
Here's Aloisi for a place in the World Cup.
For us.
He scored! Australia have done it!
John! Come on! John! For Shane Warne. He's done it.
We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Aussies Abroad on the B Sample Sports Network. And today I have the absolute privilege and honour of interviewing one of the best guys in Australia, if not the world, radio and TV personality and the creator of a foundation called Gotcha4life. He's also a sports tragic, just like the rest of us. Please welcome Gus Worland. Thanks, Gus.
Chris, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. That's a very, very nice introduction. I don't know if I deserve it though, but I'll take it, brother. Thanks.
Mate, you sure do. You sure do. Now, Gus, you grew up in Sydney and went to Knox Grammar School. Tell us about your love for sport and sort of where it all started from.
I suppose for me, Chris, it was all about team. You know, like I went to a school, Pymble Public School, up until 5th grade, and then went to this, like the big school, right? The posh school with blazers and boaters and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so the best way that I've ever felt to deal with anything in life is to do it in a team. So, you know, when there was trials for the footy or the soccer or the cricket or the tennis or swimming, I was just into everything, right? I wasn't good enough to make all those teams, but cricket and footy and then soccer were things that I was okay at. So once you became a part of a team, then you had friends, didn't you, at recess and lunchtime, and then you had practices a couple of times a week, and then you played on the weekend, and then someone would say after the game, why don't you come to my place for a sleepover? So my friends came from sport, and I've always been a huge fan of team sports in particular because of that.
What's that one sport you cannot be without? Like we sort of touched on it earlier, but tell us that one sport. If there was one sport only, what's that one sport?
Oh, it's a real toss-up between rugby league and cricket, but I've got to go with cricket only because I suppose that's where my absolute love of sport happened from such a young age. I remember scoring the SCG test match with the old ABC scorebook, and just my back before drink driving, my uncle would sort of say, see you later, mate, at 9 o'clock. And he'd go off with his mates from grade cricket that he used to play with. And I didn't see him again until an hour after play. And I just literally grabbed as many autographs as I could, you know, the back of the members there, just watching the players warm up. I just loved them so much. And as I said, I scored the test match. I gave him a sausage roll and a pie at lunchtime and a chocky move. And I was happy as Larry, and I did that all my life. So I suppose cricket would be the one, but rugby league and my love for the Roosters in New South Wales is.
Oh, you're a Roosters fan. That's right. Oh no, I forgot you're a Roosters fan. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, we're done now. We're done.
You want me to wind it up?
Yeah, we're done. Thanks. Just off topic here. The Ashes are obviously on shortly over here. Are we expecting a full English team, and are we going to have a packed Barmy Army?
Yeah, unfortunately, not the Barmy Army part of it. We'll have some English fans, obviously, that live here, that have moved here, but we won't have that big influx, which normally happens around Christmas time. So for Boxing Day and the New Year's Test match in Sydney, that's when sort of 10,000 arrive in Melbourne, have their, you know, Christmas in the sun, and then Boxing Day and then into New Year's here in Sydney on the harbour, and then the New Year's Test match. We won't have that this year as much. There'll be a few, but no, we'll miss that. But in terms of the players, Chris, absolutely. They've picked the best 17 that they can. There's two players that had to be left out, Jofra Archer and also Ben Stokes, who are both world class. And, you know, Archer in Australia on Australian pitches, if he was fit, would be a serious competitor and competition for our top order, which is looking a little bit how you're going. I mean, Warner's going to open the batting. We've got Labajan and Smith. We've got Green, but there's a couple of spots there up for grabs. Our bowlers pick themselves. So if they had Archer, it would be incredible. And if they had Stokes, it would be incredible. But I think we'll probably win because they've picked the best possible team, but it's not quite good enough.
It's not quite good enough, yeah. I've been to 2 Boxing Day test matches now, both with England, and the Barmy Army just did not stop the entire day singing and chanting. And we can't sing the songs on this show, but they were some very offensive things were said.
I mean, they're the English 12th man. They truly are. You know, they will start firing up, especially when they really need a wicket, the England team. The England team have been quoted as saying, look, that was the moment where we just sort of got snapped out of a moment of thinking about, gee, we're getting beat here, to let's fire up again. And they've got plenty of wickets in their day, and they're entertaining, right? You say, there's some slightly saucy words, but at the end of the day, we're all there to have a laugh. They've been on Boxing Day, they would have been drinking from Christmas Eve through Christmas Day into Boxing Day. So they're ready to rock and roll. There's no doubt. They arrived from a very cold, dark England into Australia, and they're ready to go, right? This is a buck party for a lot of them.
They love it. And mate, in your early years, you spent a bit of time on TV. I think I remember you first on Gus Worland Marathon Man back in the day. And you did Aussie Goes Barmy, Aussie Goes Bolly, and Aussie Goes Calypso too. Tell us how the TV side of it came about, and how did you end up doing that?
Yeah, I got really lucky, Chris. I mean, I think everyone knows that my best mate is quite a famous Australian in Hugh Jackman. And I basically went to the 2005 Ashes series with him in England. I was working at the time for Toshiba selling laptop computers. And he rang me and said that, you know, he was doing a movie in London and he had bumped into Ricky Ponting. And Ricky Ponting said, can you come to the test match? And it'd be lovely to have you in the sheds afterwards. The boys could get a real lift. And he goes, mate, that would be wonderful. So he rang me. I caught the train down from Lincolnshire, about 3 hours, and had a great Friday night with Jacko in London. Then we went to the cricket on the Saturday with his brother and uncle. And at the end of the day, we got Ricky Ponting's personal assistant, team manager, rang up and said, look, the boys are ready for you if you like. And Jacko looked at me and said, do you reckon we should? Like, isn't it like the inner sanctum? I said, mate, if we're getting invited by Ricky Ponting to have a beer in the dressing room at Lord's, we're going. We're not turning that down.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's what we did. And we went in there. We had a couple of hours together and it was great. And off the back of that, Jacko started thinking. He's such a creative thinker. And he said, you know what? Wouldn't it be great to give the Australian cricket public something like we just had, to let them get to know the players a little bit more?
Yeah.
So within a year or so, we had come up with this idea of me living with the Barmy Army, and, you know, Australia were about to try to win the Ashes back in 2006-7 season. So we went to work and we pitched the idea to Foxtel, and they ended up going with an Aussie Goes Barmy, and it went really well for them. And then we did an Aussie Goes Bolly, then an Aussie Goes Calypso. So I was up and running, right? I was doing TV then. I didn't have to sell my laptop computers. I was so fortunate, very, very lucky. Sort of the door was opened up and I sort of smashed through it a little bit and loved it. And then off the back of that, I was talking about it one day on radio about, you know, what I'm talking to you about now. And the boss of Triple M was actually in a cab between the airport and the radio station in Melbourne. And he heard me telling some stories, and the Sydney breakfast show at the time wasn't going very well. So he went, you know what, I'm going to turn this on its ear and build the grill team. And that's when, you know, we had 8 years together, Maddie, myself and MG. Then I hung in there for another couple of years once those blokes had gone. So, you know, I'm just doing a weekend show now, which I love. So that's how it all started. Up until 38, I hadn't done anything at all in media.
Yeah, well, that was what I had for you next. You've been at Triple M since 2009. I used to listen to The Grill all the time. You did Moon Man in the morning too, and now you're on Dead Set Legends with Wendell Saylor and one of my favourite swans of all time, Jude Bolton. Yeah. Obviously, you just keep going, mate. Like, how do you do this? It's fantastic.
Well, I'm very lucky. That's the first thing that I've been given an opportunity, and you know, I haven't mucked it up, I suppose. That's how you keep on keeping on. But yeah, it's certainly, you know, the Dead Set Legends. Jude, you're right. He's an unbelievable footy player, but just an unbelievable bloke. Dell is just so unique. He's just incredible with his energy, and what he's done on a footy field is just incredible. So we've built a really nice little show on a Saturday morning. You know, we work very hard during the week on our WhatsApp group, getting, you know, a network of ours, a lot of contacts that we have to get them to come on and talk. And then we come up with ideas and plans. And, you know, the audience have really enjoyed it. So we've been able to grow that audience and grow the sponsorship of the show. And, you know, so I'm loving that balance of the very emotional work on Gotcha Monday to Friday, and then a bit of fun on a Saturday morning. And then I've used it as a chance to go and see my mum afterwards on the way home. And even through COVID, I've been able to pop in, have a cup of tea. And it just gives me that balance, Chris, that I need, because it can get pretty full on. So it's just lovely to have that Saturday to chill. And then like you and I, mate, when it's footy season, we just sit on the sofa, wait for Super Saturday, have a few beers, and just, you know, enjoy the fact that we've done a hard day, a hard week's work.
Very nice. Did a young Gus from Sydney ever see himself doing this, like hanging out with all these sports stars and on the radio and the TV? Was this what you thought you'd do, or was there?
I certainly hoped it. I hoped it. I remember a father figure of mine asked a few of us one night when we were about 18, 19, you know, so where do you guys see yourself in the next 20 years or something like that? And one of my mates, who's now a tennis coach, he said, look, I want to be a marine biologist. Another bloke wanted to be a real estate agent. Another bloke wanted to be like working in a nursery. And I said that I wanted to be on TV or radio doing sport or something like that. And the only guy that didn't do what he wanted to do was the bloke who's now a tennis coach, but wanted to be a marine biologist. So the 3 out of 4,
that's good.
3 out of 4, we sort of got where we wanted to go. But to be honest with you, I was 38 years of age, Chris, and I thought I'm going to be selling laptop computers or training people to sell laptop computers for the rest of my life. And I was just really lucky that, you know, to have a friend like Jacko, you know, obviously he can open up doors, and the fact that he saw something in me, he'd known me since the age of 5, and he reckons that it would work out well. So, you know, he backed me, Fox backed me, and I got lucky. So I might have missed out otherwise, but I was lucky enough to have that help.
Nice. On this show, mate, we are sports tragics, I'm sure, as you are too.
Yeah.
You sort of touched on Lords earlier, but tell us about the best sporting event you've seen live. What's that? I know it's hard because I've got heaps of them, but that one that really stands out.
Yeah, look, this is probably one that anyone that was there would feel the same way. And I was actually quite young. It was the test match where Dennis Lilly and Greg Chappell retired in Sydney.
Oh, yes. Yep.
In the sort of the mid 80s. I was only there as a young back, as I said off the top, with my uncle sort of dumping me and saying, see you later. It was just the most amazing test match. And they walked off, and even Rod Marsh, who ended up playing a little bit longer, but the three of them walked off together. And it was like Rod Marsh, Dennis Lilly, and Greg Chappell. Like they had literally been dominant for 10 years of my true love for cricket. First finding out about cricket, playing it myself, watching these superstars on the telly, and they're all three of them, great mates, all walking off the field together. I remember that so well as if it was yesterday. And then, of course, there's, you know, if you asked me for one, I could come up with 10 like you would say, but that would be my one. I remember the Brian Lara 277. We're never going to get him out. He got run out in a test match in Sydney. I remember going to the NFL at MetLife Stadium in New York, going to test matches at Lords, going to the Boxing Day test match. I mean, it's normally not just the day, it's the thought of going to these like cathedrals of sport.
Yeah.
And if you absolutely had to sort of nail it down to one, it's that one with the three legends. But that last day in Adelaide, you know, when I did the Barmy Army, you know, when Warney bowled Peterson round his legs, and we ended up winning that test match, chasing 160 down in 40 odd overs, and we played it like a one-dayer, and it was just unreal, right? So there's lots of those moments. I'm sure that you and your listeners would have plenty as well.
Yeah, mine was the Socceroos when they beat Uruguay to get into the World Cup, and I was there. It was great, beautiful, and I was spoken to about 195,000 fans that were there that night. And I'm like, the stadium doesn't hold that many. Everyone was there, but I was actually there.
Yeah. Well, so your thoughts during that match? What was your heart rate doing, and so forth?
I was terrified. I was terrified because I was there 4 years earlier when we lost, and I was there 4 years earlier again when we lost to Iran, maybe. And so I actually thought that we were done. Yeah, but we come good in the end, and I had a few beers that night, and after the game, I don't really remember too much. So,
well, that was great, and we sort of take it. Blokes like you and I, and you're younger than me, but blokes sort of my age. I'm 53 in December. It's like it used to be really, really hard really, really hard to actually make the World Cup. Now we sort of do it on our ear a little bit.
It's easier now,
and they've made it easier for us, and I understand that. And we should have this region of the world being looked after better than we are.
Yeah.
So I'm glad about that.
Yeah. Look, mate, one of the main reasons we've got you on the show today is to talk about your incredible foundation, Gotcha4life. We know so many Aussies have been in lockdown lately, especially on the East Coast, and they're probably struggling with their mental fitness over this time. How did the foundation come about, and sort of how can people reach out for some help, really?
Yeah, look, absolutely, Chris. People have been struggling. We've just got to remember that we're only physically isolated. We're not emotionally isolated. So use technology. The fact that you and I are now doing a thing like a Zoom call for your podcast, that wasn't even around 2 years ago in my life anyway. And I've done 1,000 of these now. So it shows that technology has looked at the situation and gone, you know what, we can step up to the plate. So don't let anyone that you love worry alone. That's really the most important thing. It gets down to the real basics of connecting and letting people know that you're thinking about them, because you don't want anyone worrying alone. And that's really what Gotcha4life is about. And I started it off the back of a TV show I did called Man Up on the ABC. And that really challenged masculinity in this country and why we lose so many blokes every day to suicide. It's still the number one way to die if you're an Australian male aged between 15 and 44. We lose 7 blokes a day. So those 7 blokes that woke up this morning won't wake up tomorrow morning, and they'll kill themselves. So it shows that the awareness is there, because people are aware that we've got a mental health, or what I call mental fitness issue. The thing is, we don't quite have enough action to go behind the awareness at the moment. So Gotcha4life was set up to purely deal with the prevention of suicide and look after people and support them and fund people that work in that preventive suicide space. And we had a little win the other week. We had a 5.4% drop in suicides in the year 2020. Still, we lost 3,000 people, so we didn't celebrate for long, but it shows that we are slowly but surely knowing that there's a problem, and then actually coming up with some solutions, giving people the words to have that conversation of gravity. Because at the moment, where we're really comfortable, Chris, and you and I could do this all day, and all your listeners would too, just talking about shit. Just talking about sport. And it's great. It's where we're comfy. And then we meet at the pub, we have a few beers and we enjoy that. It doesn't mean we don't do that. It means that we just leave a little piece of ourselves to have that more important conversation when you need it. And actually to have the emotional muscle to actually not walk away and bury your emotions, actually say to someone, fuck, this is hard, brother, but I need to talk to you about something. Just getting that word out so your friend knows, oh, Jesus, this is something a bit different. I'm going to listen to my mate and try to help him.
Yeah, mate. In my normal daytime role, I'm in construction, and a lot of the guys in construction turn to drinking and depression and other things as well. How can they I know a few of the guys will be listening once this goes up. How can they find your foundation online? Give us a number, a website, something that they can reach out to.
Yeah, of course. And Chris, I've spoken to a lot of building sites, the new SFS getting built at the moment. John Holland are doing that. And I've been out there a couple of times and spoken to the different shift workers that come in. We put a barbecue on, give them a can of Coke, and they can come and sit. And I took Freddie Fittler in the other day just to mix it up a little bit. The construction industry has more suicides than any other blue collar industry. So you've got opportunity because you're on sites where there's machinery and big heights and that type of stuff. Plus, there's just such a masculine way of looking at life, being a builder, working in construction. So what we need to do is just give those blokes the words to actually have a conversation and let them know that it's actually braver to talk about your feelings than actually bury them, because burying your emotions got us to where we are at the moment, where we're losing 7 blokes a day every day. So if you're interested to find out some tips and tricks and some the ways to perhaps could open up your discussions with your mates, then you can go to Gotcha4life.org, and that's GOTCHA, the number 4 life.org, and that has all the details. Plus, you can reach me on my socials as well. A lot of people reach me through, Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'll always get back to you as quick as I possibly can. Sometimes I get 1,000 messages a day, and I'm like, Jesus, how am I ever going to get back to everyone? But I will if I possibly can. And the simple fact is, just it's all right to not have all the answers. You know what? It's all right not to be perfect. Just throw away perfect and just be as honest you can with at least a few people in your life. You don't have to burst into tears every 5 minutes or have a deep and meaningful conversation every time you talk, but have a few of your mates or one of your mates that you feel comfortable and safe enough with to say, you know what, mate, I need your help. Why are we so good in this country to help others when they ask us, but we're so bad at asking for help? That's what we need to turn around.
Yeah, look, I'll get my editor, Josh, to put those up on the screen to your socials and the website. Mate, big thank you for coming on the show. That's been an inspiration, I'm sure. But there's one final thing I need to ask you, and this determines the kind of man that you are. Do you keep your tomato sauce in the cupboard or in the fridge?
It's in the fridge.
That is the correct answer. Well done. Thank you very much. It has divided this show since we started, and it is about 50-50 at the moment. So thank you very much, mate. That is right.
You beauty, brother. Thanks a lot, Chris. Answer. It's lovely to speak to you, and hopefully we'll catch up for a beer now that this is all over. And yes. Where are you situated?
I'm in Canberra. So,
great. Yeah. Well, one day we will meet. One day we'll see each other and shout out and let's have a beer.
Definitely, mate. Sounds good to me. Thanks again,
All the best for you and your listeners, Chris. Thanks, brother.
Cheers.
for Shane Warne.